Hello, this illustration is a trade I did on the Dow Jones Index, US Index, on the 11th of October 2007. This is actually my third attempt to record this video clip. The first time was my first ever attempt to use what's called Camtasia Studio, and although I think it worked in a way, it was a fairly disastrous first attempt and had to be re-recorded. I then managed to set the volume too high, so everything else was great, but my voice was rather distorted. This is third time lucky. Now we're first going to have a look at a daily chart, and it's the daily candlestick chart. 10th of October, it's looking at the day before. We're planning our trade for the following day. Now this is just quickly. This is called Updata Technical Analysis. A very good product which I'd recommend to you. Now the key feature of this chart is big buying spike in August. Which is of course an excellent buy signal. The market's gone up quite nicely since then. In this presentation we're going to be looking at buying spikes later on. Now I'm not actually trying to, the purpose of what I'm doing here is to show you the power of binary betting. Because I tend to use price spikes and Elliott wave theory in my trading, I have no real choice but to explain, well, at least illustrate that as well. But the key thing here is the binary bets, and how by risking £300 on this occasion you could have made over £8,000. There's no other trading vehicle I'm aware of, and I've traded pretty much everything, options, as buying and selling them, futures, stocks, pretty much everything you can. I mean, spread betting, I have traded, and binary bets there's nothing to touch them really. I mean, you certainly make over £8,000 with any of those instruments, but you can't do it when you're risking only £300. That's a tough order. Now, so we're just looking at this chart to decide on how we're going to approach the following day. I find it a very useful discipline, spending a bit of time after the close or before the open to see what might come. I'll keep this as a wave 1, so we've got a wave 1 up to there, 2, and sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's not a very clear count, but there's like a 1 here, a 2 there, possibly and some kind of peak up here. It's not terribly clear. So we'll now switch to the shorter term chart, and we'll start scrolling through the day as the action unravels. Okay, here's the 5-minute chart, and the day's about to open. You'll notice the previous close was at 14,078.93. That's a fairly key level to be aware of when it comes to trading binary bets. So we'll now start to scroll through, and as you'll see, the first move here has been a large move, large gap open of about 70-80 points. These are, say, 5-minute bars. So we'll just scroll through a bit. Okay, at this point we have something happening. We can see the wave 1, 2, 3, 4, with maybe a fifth wave coming in. So at this point in time, this fifth wave here would be very truncated compared to the first wave and the third wave. So I wasn't at this point terribly interested in doing very much. Also, early on in the day, the binary prices aren't that attractive. I mean, it's very important to get good prices. As you'll see from this example, if you get really good prices, you get incredible power, and the multipliers of your bets can be huge. So we'll continue to scroll through. It's really just going sideways. Not much is really happening either way. It's just having seen a big gap open, it's now digesting that. Okay, we're coming down now. It's actually looking like this may have been a fourth wave. So maybe this is all 3, and now we're seeing 4. I'll just put that in, hopefully a bit neater than last time. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and now maybe 5 up. Okay, so at this point, the key thing is, the two key things are the pattern of this latest rally and whether we see a new high. The new high is, for Elliott 50, you want to see that both of those things really. So we'll continue to stroll through. And now we are in fact getting to a new high now. Okay, now a little bit further on. At this point, we have actually got what I was looking for. We've got the 1, 2, 3. I'm even drawing it straight as well. 4. And now here we can see sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now it's about 5 o'clock. And at this point I started putting these trades on. Now the actual trading I did, I mentioned them briefly. I did 3 particular binary bets. Wall Street to finish down was one, which I managed to buy at 2.9. A binary bet that is a winner goes to 100. So if you buy something at 2.9, you get like a 33 to 1 multiplier. So you put £100 down on that, and you get £3,300 from it roughly. I also placed a bet that the low, this low here, would not be the final low. That cost. That was a bet I had to sell, but we'll get into that later on. So that was a risk of 2. That gave me 50 to 1. And the other bet was that the Dow would, I think it was a 50 points. The bet the Dow to be 50 up, which would be around here, I guess. I was priced at about, I think it was 80 or so. But the actual figures I have, we'll be looking at later on. I sold those too. That was a far less powerful bet. I mean, I think at £100 you get like £10 a point. The bet down here for £100, risking two points on each position, that's £50 a point. So £50 a point times 50, because it's if you're betting £100, you got £50 a point, so it'll be a £5,000 profit from that bet. Okay, so we'll now continue. I think I'm just going to expand this chart slightly because it's just a little bit, the visibility is not so, that's better. So we can now see the 5 waves perhaps a bit more clearly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Right, to continue. Right, we're going to do a little bit higher. Oh, it's gone even further up now. Now, for the purpose illustration, I'm quite pleased about that, because one of the great things with binary bets is you can't get stopped out. Those of you who are familiar with futures trading or spread betting will know that the being stopped out is the sort of curse of that particular type of trading, and it's unavoidable really, because you can't not have some kind of stop in place if you're risking a fair size in relation to your capital. You've got to have some way of protecting that capital, and some kind of stop, be it mental or whatever, is generally required. I'm not saying that's the only way you can trade, but a lot of people do trade that way. So at this point in time, if you've been spread betting, you may well have been stopped out. I mean, the move here is I think about 30 points from the entry level. I think I was talking about getting short around here. We did see a small blip down, not much, and now we've blipped up. But with binary bets, no problem at all. The price of your bet does go down, so okay, that's not great. I mean, okay, but I mean, risking a small amount of money, £300, it's not a big issue really, but it doesn't affect you at all. You could say that my wave count was wrong, and it was, of course, because obviously that wasn't 5 waves I was counting here. I mean, quite how you would count it, I'm not absolutely sure now, but I mean, it could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at this point. But because we don't know what's happening, we have to trade. I mean, a very important point. We trade over here, don't we? We don't trade this part of the chart, regrettably. We have to trade at this part here, which is somewhat more difficult. Anyway, to continue scrolling through. Okay, we've seen a slight small fall now. This actually, of course, 11th of October was the all-time high on the Dow. I mean, how long it'll be the all-time high on the Dow, I don't really know. The Dow is now around the 12,400 level as I speak. That's the 29th of February. I have recorded this twice before. I did record it in the first instance, fairly close to the actual date I did this. but this was the all-time high on the Dow. Of course, I had absolutely no idea of that at the time. Absolutely no idea at all. It bears no relation. It means nothing at all as far as my trading is concerned, because I mean, it just wasn't even an inkling. I'm a fairly short-term trader. I look for signals. In this case, a 5-wave pattern, 2 5-wave patterns, of course. Fail, break. We've also got the failure at 14,200, which is also a sell signal. So although it's nice that I did sell the Dow at the all-time high, albeit 15 minutes or an hour or so early, whatever it was, it's well, completely irrelevant to my trading. It just happened to be that way. So we'll continue. Right, so I mean, again, not a great. This point, not much happening. I mean, it's okay. Well, now we've started to get some action, and the market is now falling quite fast. Now, at this point in time, in fact, we're at break even. The prior close was about 14,078, so it's now eliminated. And these, I say, are 5-minute bars. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in about half an hour, a bit more if you count a bit here, it's wiped out the entire gain, and it's quite a big gain, 120 points. So one important point is that these sort of moves don't happen every day. I mean, this is a particularly good trade. It's a wonderful illustration of the power of binary bets, but do not expect this to happen every day, because it won't. There are certain things which give you an idea when we might see fast action, which again we'll be discussing later in the course. I mean, Elliott 5s, Elliott 3s, and options expiry is quite important as well. But this is not an everyday occurrence. But when it happens, of course, it is particularly nice. You don't need that many trades in the year like this to come out on top. So at this point, another quite interesting point, because we have got the high here. So we have got a 1, 2, 3, and now a 4. So at that point, we had every reason to think we might go down some more. Although with Elliott, one of the problems you have is that you can see ABC moves. Like this could be an ABC, in fact. I mean, running profits is one of the problems with trading. One of the challenges with trading. There have been a number of key occasions in my trading life when going into a coma just after putting on the trade and then waking up a few days later or a few hours later would have been a good thing. Anyway, to continue with the trade, so now we're seeing new lows, and as happened, all those bets expired, went all the way, as I put it. The ones I sold at 98 went to 0, so on those per £100 of risk you made £5,000. The ones that I bought at 2.9 went all the way to 100, so you had about £33 a point on those. That's about £3,000. And the other trade, which was a bit smaller, I think the risk was about 10 points, so about £10 a point would have been another 900 quid or something. I mean, the expiry, in fact, the expiry isn't important for two of the trades. For the cash low to be, I mentioned earlier that I bet that the low would not hold. That particular bet went all the way as soon as a new low came into place. So that bet went all the way to 100, all the way to 0, I think, in fact. But at the time of that event, which was a bit earlier on, the other two bets were bets on the expiry level. Dow to be down. The Dow has to be down for that bet to go to 100, although of course you can close it beforehand, which is something else we talk about. Anyway, the close was here. It's about, I think it's about 50 odd, 60 odd points down on the day. Maybe slightly more than that actually. In fact, the close is probably there. Sorry, I think that's probably the previous next day's bar. I'm confusing it with. Yeah, so the close was, I think, 139. I'm not actually certain, to be honest, but it isn't hugely influential. The key point is that the bets were sold at around the 5 o'clock time. A further rally came in, but nothing of any significance. I mean, they saw this bloody great decline, which brought home the bacon. And the purpose of the, I use this illustration for both DVDs and seminars, but what, at the very least, you should know by the end of this presentation is how to look out for these signals and which binary bets to go for when you see them. Thank you for listening.